Hello and welcome back to Digital Assets Daily. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in your corner of the world. In research, I've stumbled upon a lot of interesting things, and then the pieces started basically turning into a puzzle, and as we put the puzzle together, the picture started becoming a little bit interestingly clear. So as we get into this, it's going to be a little more obvious where we're headed, and let's dive in. Leading central banks merge. Ripple and Stellar Lumens redundant is the question. I will say no, they're both needed together, not competition. But I digress. Let's dive in. The Bank of England has announced in a press release that it will research the use of a central bank supported digital currency in cooperation with other banks or with other central banks, and in the long term this step could lead to competition or cannibalization of projects from the cryptocurrency area, such as Ripple or Stellar Lumens. To me, that part gets exciting, and then it gets a little FUD-ish. If you are in the space a little bit long, for say the past year or two, if you've been in this space, the cryptocurrency digital asset space, then you have probably heard Christine Lagarde say banks will either get on board basically with the new digital assets, or they will cannibalize themselves. What are the new digital assets? Obviously Ripple and Stellar. Or if you want to be more critical, those are the companies, and XRP and XLM are the currency, so to speak, of those companies. We'll get into the article a little bit, and then we're going to move along because we have, I think, around 38 or 39 tabs to pull open. The Bank of England announced in a press release that it will work with the central banks of Canada, the United Kingdom, Japan, the European Union, Sweden, and Switzerland, and the BIS on the research and introduction of a central bank digital currency. Really don't need to go any further. Feel free to research again, as we do always include the links in the description below for your further research, or for you to come back and reference and read again. Knowing these are all connected back to Ripple and Stellar, and as a Bank for International Settlements has stated, the success of CBDCs in Cambodia did better than they had expected. Next, we have an Accenture interview why a digital dollar can't be rushed. We don't really need to get into this specific article other than to state the Accenture was connected back to the president's statement of, or not so much statement, but in his article of the digital currencies being designed on their card, so to speak, with Accenture. We've already shown how Accenture connects to Ripple and Stellar. The Digital Dollar Project forms advisory group for the U.S. digital currency. We have gotten into this, as we've stated. Let's scroll down just for a moment. I do want to share one thing in case you are new. The Digital Dollar Foundation announced a 22-member advisory group that will help set up the framework for establishing a U.S. central bank digital currency. The foundation aims to study the potential applications of a digital dollar. The Digital Dollar Foundation is a nonprofit launched earlier this year by former chair of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, CFTC, J. Christopher Giancarlo, and Accenture. The consultancy has previous experience of CBDC through work with the Bank of Canada, Monetary Authority of Singapore, European Central Bank, and Riksbank. And again, we've shown all of these connecting back to Ripple and Stellar, and many times directly from the white paper of the Bank of Canada. The European Central Bank confirms exploring digital euro as retail and wholesale CBDC. We know now previous IMF, Christine Lagarde, is now the ECB, European Central Bank, and we know the retail-based is more focused on Stellar, and the wholesale-based is more focused on Ripple, or you're going to say XRP and XLM. Again, guys, I'm making this so it's simple and clear without a lot of confusion. If you've been around, you're smart enough to know the difference between the company and the cryptocurrency. Just trying to use it for clarity to include and be more inclusive for the new investors. The EU draft central banks should look at public digital currency. And as a public digital currency, well, let's, get into the article just a little bit. The global reaction to stable coins, indeed the ECB's Benoit Cœuré said that stable coins like Libra or China's upcoming digital currency could challenge the US dollar. He outlined that the concern caused by Facebook's announcement this summer had undoubtedly been a wake-up call for central banks to strengthen their efforts to improve existing payments. The reason I chose this is because we have Libra. We know it was going to be based on Stellar's USD-backed stablecoin Stronghold. And then we have China. I want to include that because we're getting into that with this video. The G7 report global stablecoins are a systemic risk. There have been several reports on cryptocurrencies by the Bank of International Settlements, also known as the BIS, and all of them said they were not yet sufficient in scale to represent serious risks. 70% of central banks exploring central bank digital currencies, the Cbdc, according to the BIS. As we continue to bring them up, the Bank for International Settlements. IBM OMFIF published report on central bank digital currencies. In conjunction with IBM, the official monetary and financial institutions forum, the OMFIF, released a report including a survey about CBDCs, while it reiterates the widespread reservations about retail CBDCs. The paper focused purely on a wholesale or institutional CBDC, which it says is certain to be implemented in the future. And when you focus on wholesale and institutional, there's nothing better than Ripple and XRP. And when you say retail, there's nothing better than Stellar and XLM. And as you scroll down here a little bit, talking at the Deconomy conference earlier this year, Stanley Young, head of CBDC for IBM, spoke about the need for CBDCs. He stressed his statements were his own and not IBM's. He discussed the issue where ownership of an asset and payment could exchange simultaneously, commonly referred to as a delivery versus payment, and this contrasts with the risk involved in waiting for a payment to clear. And we know IBM is connected to Stellar. Here we have Accenture SAP to use Corda for central bank real-time gross settlements, and we know Corda, it did open up to more assets, but Corda's main asset is XRP. The European Central Bank wants to beat other countries in the digital currency game. And as we get into the article just a little bit, the newly instated president of the European Central Bank, former chair and managing director of the IMF, Christine Lagarde, said that one of her initial mandates will be to focus on the development of stablecoins. Speaking in her debut press conference Thursday, Christine Lagarde said the ECB, under her leadership, aims to get ahead of the curve when it comes to the stablecoin development. And we know she's a big fan of Ripple and many times has shown up to events arm in arm with the CEO of Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse. I just want to add one little part of this article. While it states, while its contemporaries in the Western world, everyone from France and the EU as a whole to Canada and the UK, want in on digital currency, the US seems to want to sit this one out. In a House Financial Services Committee hearing in Washington earlier this month, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin said that he and Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell agreed the U.S. does not need a digital currency in the next 5 years. It isn't clear why the U.S. is taking such a cautious approach, though pundits in the cryptocurrency space say that it could hurt the nation's chances at financial dominance in the future, especially if the EU or China get their own digital monies up and running. The top crypto VC, China, will launch a national digital asset in 2020. China's virtual currency may be rolled out within a year, proof of capital. And as we move into the next article, what is China's cryptocurrency alternative sovereign digital currency, and why is it not like Bitcoin? China's sovereign digital currency, the so-called digital currency electronic payment, DCEP, could be launched later this year. And Alibaba's Alipay and Tencent's WeChat Pay are already popular payment methods in China, with mobile transactions accounting for 4 of every 5 payments in 2019. And obviously I'm building up, and everything I'm discussing will continue to be discussed throughout the video. So there is a purpose and a reason. Then we have Bank of China expands relationship with IBM for digital transformation. And as we scroll through the article, co-created in the IBM Garage BOC, the Bank of China plans to build a further 5 to 8 innovation labs globally to fully leverage global resources and establish a BOC model of financial innovation. The new lab is combined client center and experience center and a factory for innovation at the same time. The IBM Garage will help accelerate how the bank unlocks insights and business outcomes by helping modernize existing applications with technologies such as AI, blockchain, and IoT. Starts sounding familiar, doesn't it? By leveraging experts from across IBM services, bank subject matter experts, user experience designers, as well as system integrators, IBM will help BOC to build its innovation strategy, enable BOC's own talent, and upskill the organization for its business transformation to drive technology deployment and incubate innovation. Then we have Regional Crypto Enablement, the RCE. IBM enabled geo-specific cryptographic support that is supplied by IBM-approved vendors. China is the first geography to use the support to meet the cryptography requirements of Chinese clients that are required to comply with the People's Bank of China, PBOC, financial IC card specifications for payment card processing when ordered. The regional crypto enablement support reserves the IO spot or slots for the IBM-approved vendor-supplied cryptographic card or cards. Clients must contact the IBM-approved vendor directly for purchasing information. The RC is a framework to enable the integration of IBM-certified third-party cryptographic hardware for regional or industry encryption requirements. And again, the IBM-certified third-party cryptographic hardware. It also supports the use of cryptography algorithms and equipment from selected providers with IBM Z in specific countries. Support for exploring international algorithms, AES, DES, RSA, and ECC with regional crypto devices. Supporting regional algorithms such as SMX is added to the ICSF PKCS number 11 services. Then, Bank of China partners with IBM for blockchain AI innovation. We'll go into a little of this article. Meanwhile, IBM has about 100 blockchain patents on its name. Now IBM Garage is assisting BOC in setting up the Global Innovation Lab, and these centers will cater to BOC's clientele, ideal new projects, and also act as a base to cooperate with governments, industries, and academia. Here we have IBM right on their page, Bank of China building this first smart branch. And as we scroll down just a bit into this, one thing that's cool is the consumers worldwide expect a new level of service, whether they interact with a brand, whether it be retail store or a bank. The BOC sets a new standard for the industry. With IBM's help, the bank now applies forward-looking insights gained from big data and analytics as well as social and mobile technologies to quickly respond to changing customer needs for a distinct competitive advantage. This smart branch illustrates BOC's dedication to continuous transformation to meet the needs of customers, and it will serve as the model for all future Tianjin branch of BOC locations. Here we have Bank of China and IBM team up to launch a series of innovation labs. Kind of the same discussion we've been having. Just want to show different timelines and different articles. Bank of China teams up with IBM on International FinTech Lab. What is FinTech? Financial technology. So you get into FinTech like Ripple and Stellar. We look forward to having IBM as our partner because we believe that in addition to the assistance they offer with technological leadership and industry expertise, we can learn even more from IBM's own transformation and innovative models. The Bank of China and IBM expand alliance to create innovation model. Bank of China, BOC, and IBM have expanded their partnership to create a new innovation model for the financial industry. Here we have the Bank of China expands relationship with IBM for digital transformation. Another article. And again, in addition to co-creating in the IBM garage, BOC plans to build a further 5 to 8 innovation labs globally to fully leverage global resources and establish a BOC model of financial innovation. Bank of China expands relationship with IBM for digital transformation. IBM Garage underpins Bank of China's first global innovation. IBM and Bank of China co-create Global Innovation Lab in Singapore. So now you have, again, as we've shown, the expansion. This is April 1st, 2020. Here we have IBM, Alibaba, Tencent join China's local blockchain alliance. The reason I wanted to bring this article up is you have the members are Tsinghua, Unigroup, Huawei, IBM, Tencent, Alibaba, and Baidu. And again, we've connected these guys either directly or indirectly to both Ripple and Stellar. Here on Capital.com, we had another article on Stellar stating back in 2014 as a hybrid blockchain platform. And the cool thing with XLM cryptocurrency is it's a platform that allows Horizon API to interact with Stellar Network to build applications on top of it. And in the article at the time, I think a lot of people thought crypto was going to take over everything. We had competing with Ripple XRP, Stellar works on bringing individuals, banks, and payment systems together and moving money faster at lower cost. But everywhere I've researched, I haven't seen them really in competition. They've always been focused on different lanes. But I do want to share another, just to toss it into the video. IBM is using the Stellar decentralized network to create what will become a primary international payment structure hub. You have the WorldWire and then a global payment system that connects banks via the Stellar Digital Asset Network. IBM launches stablecoin backed by FDIC insured banks. And then IBM Corp. IBM has partnered with Stellar, a blockchain that shares technology with Ripple and Stronghold, a startup to launch USD Anchor. Coins of USD Anchor are backed by an equivalent amount of US dollars on deposit at FDIC insured banks by Nevada-based Prime Trust. And according to Jesse Lunn, IBM head of blockchain services, the startup plans to enable all sorts of digital transaction networks to settle their transactions with digital fiat currency on the same blockchain network. I want to bring up another article. The European Central Bank and Bank of Japan finally is the third phase of Project Stella. The Project Stella was initiated back in 2016 to improve cross-border payment and remittance for banks around the world. The thing I want to bring up too, however, with the help of distributed ledger-based banking solutions, these banks can process the same transaction in a matter of a couple of minutes. Another part of this article is the current Stella project is looking to fix the problem of credit risk involved in cross-border payment by locking the funds in an escrow. So when we think cross-border payment and locking funds in an escrow, what are the first thoughts in your head? Immediately I think Ripple and Stellar, as they're both cross-border payment systems and both have funds in escrow. The other thing I would want to mention is Stella has created a hash time locked contract, HTLC, for the settlement of payments across ledgers and helps synchronize payments. The report explains how the system of HTLC functions. And the Stella report further states the use of HTLC can help in synchronizing payments across both centralized as well as decentralized ledgers. It also ensures the safety of the fund by locking them in escrow until the transaction completes. What do we have here with the hashed time lock contract, transformative crypto payment benefit? And as we scroll down, it is because of this next generation smart contracts are building or starting to be developed for Bitcoin and Stellar Lumen's XLM. This new feature will be called hashed time lock contract. Connects to the last article. IBM launches a blockchain-based global payments network using Stellar's cryptocurrency. And then as we get into this article, the People's Bank of China, and we have the WeChat Pay and Alipay, again, as we've shared them. And then we have PBOC is exploring a two-tiered system with an account-based Cbdc that only regulated banks can access. So if you're going down to a two-tiered system, you're going to be bringing it down to a retail and a wholesale system. Because in the meantime, the approach would be to offer a wholesale Cbdc platform with which payments could service providers could connect to the central bank reserves and immediate payment solutions to the end consumer. So if you're dropping it down to a two-tier, you're going to have wholesale and retail CbdCs. If you look to the left of the screen, about the middle of your screen, you'll see right there, that would be the two-tiered system of wholesale and retail. And again, what's best at wholesale? Nothing better than Ripple's XRP. And retail, you're going to have Stellar XLM. And then here we have Stellar's Stripe relationship. The reason I'm bringing this up is for good reason. Stripe strikes Alipay and WeChat Pay deal for China's access. And again, we've just shown you Stripe connects to Stellar, and now they connect to Alipay and WeChat Pay to be able to be used in China. WeChat Pay payments with sources, and you're right on Stripe's page, which we've just shown to be connected to Stellar. Stripe in Hong Kong plus Alipay and WeChat Pay globally. They're excited to officially launch Stripe in Hong Kong. Local companies can now access the full Stripe stack, including Stripe Radar, connect with custom accounts, and 3D Secure. Right on the Stripe page. Still on the Stripe page, we have Stellar. Since Stripe's earliest days, we believe the world needs simpler and more open protocols for moving money. And then right here, together with Stripe since 2014. Stellar is like Bitcoin, a decentralized payment network, but unlike Bitcoin, it supports transactions in arbitrary currencies. You can use dollars, euros, bitcoins, or anything else, and Stellar implements something very close to the idealized IP layer for money. Idea that we described last week. You can find more details and obtain your first Stellar's network's native currency by reading their launch posts. If you're interested, click the little link here, the launch post. It'll take you directly there. Then you have Stripe's role, And Stellar's goal is to build a great transport layer for transmitting monetary value. And there's more details if you're interested in scrolling down there. My final thoughts on this. All of the countries are coming out with CBDCs. We know that the US is coming out with its digital currency before the end of her term in May. So by May 1st, the US is supposed to have its own digital currency. And we've known that the People's Bank of China and the Bank of China are already connected to IBM. They're coming out with the digital currency, which has been tested and tried again this year. I don't think it's in full release yet, but it's very, very close. They're coming out with their gold-backed digital Yuan, and we've known they're connected again. All of this help has been from IBM. IBM runs on the Stellar blockchain for most of its cross-border currencies and its payment, remittance, etc. We know that Iran has a gold-backed digital currency on Stellar. So we know that IBM runs with Stellar, and Stellar is already a gold-backed currency for Iran. China is coming out with its gold-backed digital Yuan, and it's connected to IBM. So my thoughts are it's most likely going to be again connected to Stellar. Time will tell, but the connections are getting more obvious, and it's getting very exciting and interesting. And we will see where this goes. I know by end of year 2020, it's going to be very exciting, and things are going to start moving very fast each and every month until end of year. I want to leave you guys with a final thought here. It's a simple thanks. That's to each and every one of you listening to my voice and hearing this show every day and watching this on your screen. I want to let you know that you are greatly appreciated, more than you know. And remember, guys, this is not financial advice. It is for entertainment purposes only, and we'll catch you in the next one.